If you are unhappy with your 1 rep max front squat, or you struggle to stand up out of the bottom of a clean that you pulled nice and easy, then this video is for you. Before we get started, what I'm gonna have Sherb do and what I want you to really do is just give me a shimmy, give me a wiggle. There it is, shake it out. Get rid of all of those preconceived notions about this being a strength-based movement and think about it from the standpoint of movement efficiency. Now, how do we get movement efficiency if we're struggling with the positions? That's what we're talking about in this video today. Step number 1 is a full audit of how you feel in the bottom of a front squat with your feet flat on the floor, no Oli shoes, you didn't slip any aids into there, any risers, we're good to go?
Clear.
All right, let's see the front squat bottom position. So with Sherb, he's been working on this for a long time. He's done a really good job to fix this, but we know that we are not getting much dorsiflexion in the ankle. That means that his shin right here, you all right?
Working on it.
All right, that means that his shin right here is pretty close to perpendicular with the ground, whereas a more advantageous position would be more dorsiflexion, the shin closer to the toe. So I'm gonna have him stand up. We're gonna head over to the rig here. And we're gonna start working that test-retest model and thinking about the upstream and downstream when it comes to this. So he is gonna go ahead and do a banded ankle distraction, and then he is going to add some weight with the sandbag here to work on that dorsiflexion. So he's in this position, he's creating stability with the band. He is putting some weight here, and what I want him to do is go hunting in these positions, okay? This looks like a front squat, right? He's tracking his knee out, he's keeping his heel down for the most part, and he is just working on this, okay? So, boom, we've snapped our fingers, he has gone through, and now he's gonna go back over to the barbell, and he is going to see if that helped him. This test-retest model is so important. If we are going to work on mobility, try to get the positioning better, we have to see if it actually works within the moment. So he's gonna go ahead and get down to the bottom of his front squat. Does your left ankle feel a little bit better in this position? Fantastic, go ahead and stand up. So as we start to trace down the line here, it's really important that we audit the ankles, the hips, and our front rack position. Now for Sherb, we have to make sure that we can accurately audit his hips and his front rack because again, that upstream downstream model, if his ankles are tight, it's going to mess up everything upstream of that. So what I want him to do now is to bring this barbell over to the plates and get his heels up onto the plates in his squat stance and drop down to the bottom so we can get a really accurate view of what his hips are doing in the squat. He actually has pretty good hip mobility here. He's in a nice position. He can really drive those knees out into a strong position. Go ahead and stand up. But let's say that he wasn't able to, that he was really tight there. And typically, if you have good ankle mobility and your hips are struggling, we're gonna see this relationship where your knees aren't very far out, where you really are getting sort of a round to the low back as we hit the bottom. We're gonna go back over to the rig, back with the band. We're gonna do banded distraction once again with the hip. Go ahead and do it with that back leg, get that up nice and tight. He's going to push down into that band, and we are over here hunting in this position. And once again, it's gotta look something like that front squat. So he is tracking that out. He's got that heel down, he's pressing his toe into the ground. And again, he's really just sort of hunting around and finding these positions and trying to loosen up a little bit so that he can, again, test and retest. So he's magically done both sides. He spent a couple of minutes over here. Now maybe I'll have him switch over to the 15-pound plates. He's worked on his hips a little bit. He's worked on his ankles a little bit. He's going to really press those toes into the ground, drive out. We're still seeing really good position with those hips. Nice front rack position. Go ahead and stand up. Last but not least, we got to talk about the efficiency in your front rack and what you can do about it. I don't want to say this is the most important because it is going to be athlete to athlete, but this is probably the most common fault that we see in the front squat is not setting yourself up to succeed with the positioning itself. So Sherb's going to pick up the barbell here. We're going to point out a few things about his front rack position. When he is in this position here, he has a full grip on the barbell. I really want him to wrap his thumb around there and create tension. He's got that nice shelf position created. We want to be able to trace down and into the elbow and then up and into the shoulder. And when he is actually front squatting, I want him to be thinking more about creating torque and driving his elbows towards each other rather than just elbows to the sky and being loose. So you can go ahead and put the barbell down. One of the best things that you can do, whether you're working on long-term mobility or it's just one of those days where you feel really tight, is put a barbell in the rig over here, and we can attack a bunch of different tight muscle groups that will allow to sort of get that release and be able to get into this position better. So when he's here, he has a lot of options. We can go forearms, we can get into that position, we can loosen that up, we can go triceps, we can get the lats and the traps, we can really smash into these positions. Obviously, we want you to spend more time than what he's doing, but he's able to go here and really sort of open up some of these tissues that we need to restore the sliding surfaces on and be able to get into a strong position. You show him the trap a little bit. Really driving into that position. This is definitely one that you're gonna feel. One of the things that he can do is go ahead and throw his arm straight all the way down, point that thumb and go up overhead into this position. Really sort of grinding through. And again, in a perfect world, he's done both sides. He's hunted through these positions. Maybe you just do one and then move on and you sort of go back and forth to find out what it is that's helping you. But he goes back. Let's go down to those 10-pound plates now. He's worked on all of this mobility. We're getting closer to that full retest. Throws those heels up onto the plates. And he's thinking about the way that he's moving. He knows that he's built his strength all year round with back squats and deadlifts and all that good stuff. And he gets to show off his strength if he has the skill and positioning in the front squat. Good, go ahead and stand up. The end of this retest is really just gonna give you an idea of how much progress you were able to make within one single day. So you don't need to do it, but we would grab the barbell, we would go over here, we go back to the floor before we start and see if we feel better. This can also be a progression that takes all the way through the entire year. Spend a ton of time with those heels up on the 25s. We've worked on it, we've worked on it, we've worked on it. We're at the 15s, we're at the 10s, we're back down to the floor. Now these are things that you can put into any program, but if you want a year-long progression on this stuff, where you get skill work, speed work, 1 rep max strength work, all of that with mobility and accessory work in the front squat, you can head to misfitathletics.com, get signed up for a 2-week free trial right now, and get started on developing the skills and positioning that you need to bring together with your strength to actually improve your 1 rep max front squat.